I said, I want to take over the world through television. And everybody thought I was crazy.
Issa's doing a documentary on Black television.
Hi, Issa!
If you're telling Black stories, then you need to have Black people create their own. It's about that. It's about legacy.
I grew up where there was nobody like me on TV.
It was like, okay, networks, you don't have a place for me. I'm making my own place.
With Moesha, it was Black people everywhere. Hair, makeup, wardrobe. It was Black joy.
Success looks like a place where it stops being a magical thing, that there are people of color on television.
Overcoming is a journey. It's not a destination.
There is the new generation of Black creative figures.
I need to know what I want to say.
When you know what your show is and what it's about, you hold on to it for dear life.
My values and who I am and what my experiences are.
It's about being seen and heard.
That's really our job, to reflect the times in which we live, so that maybe we don't have to keep reliving it.
Action.
On television, we will be seen as we should be seen.
To see Black people going, oh, I can do this too, that was gold.
We can create roots in a way that we can't be washed away.
Let's go. Let's do this. I'm ready. I'm about to kill this shit.
I said, I want to take over the world through television.
Welcome to a Friday edition of Let It Be Known. I'm glad it's Friday, Niele.
Peace and love, everybody. Welcome and come on in to Let It Be Known. I have a lot of headlines for you. One in particular, a historic newspaper ends its printing era. Have details on that. Troubling news for our upcoming elections. And of course, we have some feel-good headlines for you because it's Feel Good Friday. And we started it off with Black creators and how they are committed to telling Black stories and taking up space in Hollywood, which is so needed today.
Yeah, and it's good to see when they put a collage like that together and all these Black power brokers. Be nice to see Black folks just in general just come together at this point that we're living in today.
Yeah, Black showrunners are so important because they help make sure and guide the narratives, the stories, make sure Black people are hired on all levels, not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera. And then they're also finding the new storytellers of the future. And so to see Lena Waithe, you saw Issa Rae, Shonda Rhimes, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry. We have so many names to draw from now. Spike Lee, you have Ryan Coogler, Jordan Peele. There's so many Black filmmakers out there that are making space for others. And it's so important.
David Youngblood said he is profoundly impressed by Tracy Ellis Ross. Says she did not white up or white out when she could have.
Well, she probably wouldn't have had as much fun.
Right.
Hanging with her mama, she saw the Motown side, Motown. But no, I agree with you, David. I think that she is finding different ways to reinvent herself and tell herself. I know her Roku traveling show got picked up for a second season. And she is the showrunner and executive producer of that. And then that's just another form of telling our stories. You know, being Black in America now, it makes you think about living abroad or seeing more of this world. And so for her to be like an open gateway for us to see that experience, I just think she is great. And I hope she gets another sitcom, from Girlfriends to the show she did with Malcolm Jamal Warner to Blackish. She always lands these like culturally Black roles that we all can see ourselves in.
Yeah. She has been. I have to agree. She's been very impressive. That's for sure. And speaking of Girlfriends, I mean, I thought they were doing it like a reunion or a reboot or something. Is there anything in the pipeline there?
I know they had came together. I believe it was for Tracy's hair care line. They had came together for something. But when they did come together, they talked about how in hindsight, how that friendship on Girlfriends was very toxic. And even when when we go back and watch it, it's streaming now on Netflix if you guys want to check it out. You realize they were horrible friends to each other. And I think that was one. And they said that they challenged Marsha Brock a lot about how that's not how they would do their friends. But TV, follow the script.
Follow the script. Wow. Speaking of following the script, just a little side note that I mentioned to you beforehand. I didn't see this yesterday. I saw it just before we went on the air this morning that President Trump has canceled the Secret Service protection for former Vice President Kamala Harris. You talk about the pettiness. Gavin Newsom's
I
office
don't know
responded.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom's. Yeah, okay. Gavin Newsom's office responded late last night, calling it vindictive and nasty. Gavin Newsom continues to use Trump's own language against Trump, which is always fun to see. But the vice president, her husband, lost his protection in July, but that was to be expected. But former president Joe Biden, before he left office, he extended Vice President Harris's Secret Service protection for a year, but Trump, of course, overrode it and has eliminated her Secret Service protection. And it's a shame because, as Gavin Newsom's office has pointed out, especially being a Black woman and a high profile, and the highest of profiles of Black women, former candidate, etc. She had more security challenges than most, and they should have. This is just so petty and disgusting.
Yeah, when we say protect Black women, we said it for a reason. And this is a prime example how we're unprotected. What about Mike Pence? You would think that he would revoke his because he was the one that they so-called a traitor, right? He didn't get the election in 2020.
So vice presidents, apparently, and I thought vice presidents were in the similar boat as presidents when it comes to Secret Service after they leave office. They're not entitled to Secret Service after they leave office. I did not know that. It's only for, I think it's a 6-month period or a 3-month.
So Mike Pence doesn't have. He doesn't have.
I'm not sure if he does or don't, but I know that they're not entitled to it.
Okay, so
after a certain amount of time.
So is this unusual for it to be provoked?
Well, what makes it unusual is that the outgoing President Biden at the time did an order extending her Secret Service for the aforementioned reasons that Governor Gavin Newsom mentioned, his office mentioned last night when they rebuked Trump for this. Kamala Harris she's gotten perhaps more threats and more breaches in her security than perhaps any other candidate that we've seen. And since the president at the time, Biden, did extend it, you honor it. Presidents have always honored that.
Right.
It's just and this is why this story about the DC District of Columbia Council getting on Mayor Bowser for saying that DC is safer under Trump's occupation. I mean, they're absolutely right to slam Muriel Bowser because she's, she made the claim. And let me tell you something. Here's how I feel about that. Even if that were true, why would you? He's not worth throwing a bone at this point too. Why would you even? It's not because of Donald Trump that DC is safer, and you don't want to float. And I know she is not necessarily saying that. She's just saying what she said to try and, I guess, win some points with him, be peaceable with him or something, which is impossible. But the council, councilperson Zachary Parker, Brianna Nadeau, and others on the council, they described DC as an armed military, is like I described it, is occupied, and they said neighbors are too afraid, residents are afraid, and this is not the way to go. So if Bowser if the council is saying it's a siege, why is Bowser giving Trump's occupation a stamp of safety?
Yeah, that's a good question, Stacy. It's interesting. I don't think people across the country understand what's happening in DC. And it's worse than what happened here in LA, what I'm, reading and discovering. And so I'm just really interested to see what it looks like when I visit next month. Because I didn't realize that they had checkpoints at certain entries of the city. I didn't realize that,
like Beirut.
Yeah. I mean, I just, you always think of like foreign movies and you think about those World War II movies where, you see people trying to get, into the land or into the next country. I mean, and just never would you think in a million years. And so maybe, based upon the conversations that she's having with that administration, maybe she knows something that we don't know. Maybe, because there is talks, I've seen headlines that he wants to totally take it over and oust her.
Mhm.
So, who knows what those conversations are like for her.
Don't you think it comes a time where either you step up or step aside if you're not the answer, and especially in this time now, if you are not willing to step up, you have to step aside. And it seems to me that, and I know that I know the argument. So one argument that I'm going to make is that Mario Bowser has failed the District of Columbia in a huge way. He's failed Black DC in a way that Marion Barry would be throwing up if he was around. I think she has done and I hate criticizing this Black woman leader, but from where I sit, she has just totally been atrocious in this time now since the beginning of the year.
When is she up for re-election?
I think she got a couple more years left.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
voters gonna have to step up and do what they need to do if that's the case.
Shit, this is anyway, moving right along. So we talked the other day, Niele, about Gloria Gaynor and her acceptance of the Kennedy Center honors. Well, there's more to the story. It's come out that Gloria Gaynor is actually Gloria Gaynor MAGA. The reason why she immediately accepted and Trump extended the honor, she's been a steadfast donor to MAGA. Reporter J.D. Wolf dug up her Federal Election Commission record, and it's quite surprising considering the Republican stance against gay marriage and equal rights, which is ironic, of course, because Gloria's I Will Survive became a big anthem for the LGBTQ community, and she also owes part of the success of that song, probably a big part of the success, at least the longevity of that song, to the LGBT community's embracing of that song. Well, she has donated at least $22,500, and she lists in recent times, and she lists among her favorites is Josh Hawley, MAGA Mike Johnson, and Win Red, which is a Republican PAC that spreads the money around to right-wing candidates. She also donated or doted on the Republican National Congressional Committee. So anyway, I guess this comes down to Gloria saying she's going to survive regardless. This is her way of surviving.
Yeah, she sounds like a Republican. Like she's been a Republican all her life. That's what it sounds like for me. I mean, you have your MAGAs, you have your Republicans, and so she just sounds like she donated to Ben Carson, Ted Cruz, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, but I didn't see any like direct donations to the Trump. So to me, she sounds like she's been a lifelong Republican, and that they just sometimes you have those Black individuals that do that, not like making an excuse for her, but I'm just saying she just sounds like a Republican to me.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Hawley, MAGA Mike Johnson,
Ted Cruz.
Ted
Yeah.
Cruz? Are you kidding me?
Marco Rubio.
You know, you can almost get by saying you donated to Marco Rubio, or even in her case, Ben Carson, but Ted Cruz, Mike Johnson, Josh Hawley. No, that's MAGA. That is pure MAGA. And you know, it is just read the room. Whatever. Sometimes, you know, golly.
You know, I mean, you know, the thing about it is, you know, I think that, you know, we don't like MAGA. You know, we are, you know, we despise MAGA. They're despicable. But I also think too, like some, you know, there is like democracy is gone, but I guess we're trying to get it back, or we're trying to get it back on some sorts. And the reality is that democracy means that you have your choice to decide if you want to vote or not, to decide if you want to be a MAGA, if you want to be a Republican. And so I think that, you know, the bigger push is to combat white supremacy, but not to you know, to destroy what we do love, and that's the freedom to choose. And she picked the side. I don't pick that side. I think it's a stupid side to pick, but at the same time, it's her choice. And she's catching a lot of backlash for it. But to me, like I'm saying, it just sounds like she is a Republican. She's been a Republican before MAGA came around. And a lot of Black people in this country, they're sticking more to their conservative views and hoping, you know, and turning their eye to all of the bull crap. But I mean, that's just, you know, how democracy works. You got a choice.
Yeah, it's you know, listen, I could care less if a person's Republican or Democrat, but when you start talking about white supremacists and supporting that, that's a problem. And what Gloria Gaynor has done is support white supremacy, and that's a problem. She's definitely, you know, could choose better. Like I said, Marco Rubio, even to an extent, as much as it could turn a lot of people's stomach, Ben Carson. But when you start going into the Mike Johnsons of the world, and, you know, and Josh Hawley's of the world, that is white supremacy. So, you know, you might as well don't. And who knows? Maybe she donates to the Ku Klux Klan. You might as well.
Dr. Marilyn said democracy is on vacation. That is true, sis. It is on vacation. And I think that's what we're trying to fight to get back in some sort of way.
In some way. That's what they say. Well, you got two people out in the forefront fighting for democracy. That's Gavin Newsom and our girl down in Texas, Jasmine Crockett.
Well,
vocally.
see, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't do that, because you have like the lawmakers down in Florida that we were talking to. You have the lawmakers in Texas that we're talking to. It is tons of people that are fighting for our democracy, who names that we don't know, that don't get the headlines. And so those people are at the, you know, in the headlines, but there are thousands and I would say, you know, millions of people who are fighting for democracy. You got the 5150 movement. You have all of these people out there protesting. So there are people besides Gavin Newsom and Jasmine Crockett fighting for our democracy.
All right. Yeah, break it down. Lighten things up a bit, and Orange G is gonna love this story. Dawn Staley, Niele got the Knicks head coaching job. You know, the Knicks were spent the last few months until they hired Mike Brown, looking for a coach, and she was one of the leading candidates. It turns out she revealed that she would have left South Carolina. Now, she has said that the only way she leaves, she would never leave South Carolina for another school. The only way she would leave is to go to the NBA, and even that, she said, has to be a certain team or franchise, and the Knicks would be one of them, because she says simply because as a woman, you know, you can't turn that down. You can't that opportunity to break that barrier. So anyway, she said that she may have sabotaged her own chance by asking pointed questions during the interview with the Knicks. She said she asked the Knicks, how, if you hired me as the first female coach in the NBA, how would it affect your daily job? Then she pressed further. She says, have the New York Knicks organization in its history ever had what you're looking for? She said, those are some amazing questions. You know, they ask you on interviews. Oftentimes, I've always been asked, you know, you have any questions for us? And these were her questions for the New York Knicks. She said those questions shifted the energy in the room, making the Knicks think twice. She said, but she made it clear if New York had offered her the job, she would have taken it, not just for herself, but to break the barrier for women in basketball. So really, she didn't fail the interview. Let's not get that wrong. She didn't fail the interview. The Knicks, you can argue, failed the moment they couldn't answer her questions about whether the NBA is truly ready for a woman to lead.
Yeah, it sounds like she said jokes on you too. It sounded like it was a publicity stunt. You know what I'm saying? Did they ever really intend to hire
on their
her?
part, right? On their part,
on
right?
their part, yeah. I mean, did they ever really intend to hire her, or did they want it to seem as if they were woke enough, as they say, you know, to expand the NBA, like women are included. Yes, we have WNBA now. Yeah, we're thinking about a woman coach, but were they really thinking about a woman coach, or did they just want the headline to say they were progressive?
And that's a fair point. I don't think that James Dolan cares about the headline. In fact, he's the one guy, the owner of the Knicks, who runs away from headlines and media. Although he makes headlines, but he shies away. He doesn't do interviews. The front office doesn't do interviews. And I don't know, but it just seems like if this was a publicity stunt, it was ill-timed, not necessary. But I think what it revealed is that the Knicks thought, listen, let's extend this, let's widen this net. Dawn Staley is perhaps, you know, the greatest college coach, is certainly one of the greatest. Let's see what she brings to the table. But they wasn't ready. They may have thought they were ready until she sat down in that room. They wasn't ready for it. And perhaps the NBA as a whole isn't ready for it. At least they don't think they're ready for it. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been great to see something like that happen. And you know, that's just like one door opened. You know, now the conversation is possible. Before it was like you didn't even really consider it. But because she got that interview, you know, it's one step closer to becoming a reality. So either way, I think it was good for the sport, it was good for the culture, and the advancement of women in the NBA and sports.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, even though she didn't get the job, it's certainly now the conversation is there now. So
Yeah,
the
it's
next
a
opening,
possibility. Yeah.
the next big opening, you know, it's not implausible to invite women coaches into that conversation. So here we are. So it's Friday, and it's a big Friday. It's a fun Friday for me because one of the greatest concert films ever returns to theaters tonight. Prince once said, "You can hear all the humanity in it." That's what audience nationwide will feel when Sign of the Times storms back into IMAX theaters tonight. Nearly 4 decades later, Prince returns to the screens larger than life, a resurrection of genius, energy, and spectacle that proves why this remains, in my opinion, the best concert film ever, but certainly one of the greatest concert films ever made. So it's just 1 week only, Niele. America gets to witness again the genius of Prince at his absolute peak. This was 1987 Prince. This was Prince who had already did Purple Rain in 1999 and was going into something like when Michael Jackson went into Thriller and Lauryn Hill went into The Miseducation. I mean, they had embarked on this journey that would cement them as absolute legends, and Sign of the Times did that with Prince.
So what do you think? Is this your favorite Prince album?
Oh, without question, it is. I think it is. I think Sign of the Times is one of the top albums ever. And top 3 in my opinion.
Top 3. Oh,
Yeah.
top 3 of
Ever,
all
not just
albums.
Prince.
Okay,
I'm talking
yeah,
about
but
all
and
albums,
it's your
yeah.
but out of Prince's entire catalog, this is your favorite album.
It is my favorite album without
Hmm.
question. I think you see in this album more than any other Prince album, you see the genius, the very genius of Prince, with the instruments and the vocals and everything. I mean, he combined Purple Rain, 1999, and everything. To me, this was the culmination of Prince. I mean, this was he didn't have to do anything else after Sign of the Times.
Right. Okay. See, my favorite was Purple Rain. That's my favorite Prince album.
Yeah.
And it's Sign of the Times too. Okay, it was a concert. What was the movie he did after? Not Under the Cherry Moon, but
Graffiti Bridge.
The Graffiti Bridge. Okay.
Yeah.
And was that before or after this album?
That was before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it was people thought they had some of the same characters. Graffiti Bridge, I can't even say it. Purple Rain, Morris Day in the Time was in it. He was once again the kid as his name was in Purple Rain, but it really wasn't Purple Rain. We talked to Jerome Benton on this show a couple of years ago about it, and Jerome swore that Purple Rain 2 was always in the mix, but he says Graffiti Bridge was not it. Jerome, of course, starred alongside Prince in Under the Cherry Moon, and also was a regular presence at Prince's concerts.
All right, chat. Well, let us know what your favorite song or album is from Prince. We'd love to know. Get that chat started. I think mine was a Purple Rain. And I think too, like I was in that era of growing up to where that you would have to choose between Michael Jackson or Prince, or Boy George.
Oh, Boy George.
You know.
You remember one of the biggest albums of the 80s. Speaking of Boy George, I don't know why I said speaking of Boy George, but George Michael. Faith album was huge.
I love me some George Michael's Wham, Everything She
Oh
Wants.
yeah. Wham.
Man, George, yeah. The 80s were the best time for music to me. The 80s.
I agree.
Because there was no color lines. You know what I'm saying? You could just like a song. It could be pop, rock, R&B, whatever. Just whatever. We used to listen to Guns N' Roses, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Say Chuck D came on and said he touring with Guns N' Roses because they come from a time where all music meshed and matched, and you just, if it was a song and you liked it, listen to it. I used to love Culture Club.
Yeah. Listen, Freddie Mercury, Queen, there was some great music in the 80s. I'm with you on that. I will never argue that the 80s had the best soundtrack.
Yeah, and I mean, you didn't have to pick and choose. Purple Rain, Michelle Madison says Purple Rain, Commodores, and Bee Gees.
Yeah, the Bee Gees. Oh,
Big
man.
G says Michael Jackson's Thriller will always be the greatest album of all time. See, that's debatable because my favorite Michael Jackson album is Off the Wall.
And a lot of his family, and I think he felt this way. I'm not sure if he felt this way, but I believe he did. But I know a lot of his family, including his mom. His mom told me a number of times that her favorite was Off the Wall.
Yeah, mine is Off the Wall.
Yeah,
that's probably like one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. Just the lyrics of that song, Off the Wall. Especially like on Today, a Friday. Do what you want to do. There ain't no rules. It's up to your groove. Woo! I'm gonna play that when we get off the air.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so Dr. Joni says David Bowie. We like some David Bowie, and we used to like Sting too.
Yes, that's right.
Michelle Madison says Anita Baker, Angela Bofield. Come on, girl. And then Dr. Joni, she's still okay. See, you and Dr. Joni, y'all some Prince lovers because she only dropping Prince songs. Diamonds and Pearls.
Well, Diamonds and Pearls was the 1990s, though.
Oh, that was the 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that song too. That was a great Adore.
Yeah, that was from Sign of the Times. Housequake was from Sign of the Times.
Really? Housequake was
Yes.
on Sign of the Okay, so I do
Yes.
like some songs. I loved
Yeah.
Housequake.
Yeah, Adore. It's like Adore. Every time, every moment you turned around, seemed like they were playing that song on the radio. That was from Sign of the Times as well.
See, I didn't know all those songs were on that album. No
Yeah,
clue.
yeah, absolutely. And speaking of music, Funk Master Flex.
Well, that's one of my
is.
stories. Stop.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you read the script,
Well,
you
well,
know
you know,
it's in it.
our great producer has put it in the chat, and she texted me like, "You got to mention it." So,
Yeah, it's in the script.
so we'll get to Funk Master
We'll get
Flex
to that
coming.
in a minute.
But the '80s was it. Let's just say
Yeah.
that when it comes to music, and somebody mentioned the Bee Gees, and I tell you what, Too Much Heaven. That song comes to mind all the time. And that's the Bee Gees at the purest best.
Yeah, I love the Bee
Sweet best.
Gees.
Oh gosh.
Mhm. I
Those
mean,
brothers
that
could
was another
sing.
one. And the Bee Gees also remind you too of John Travolta and Staying Alive. Remember?
Yes,
Yeah, you know,
absolutely. Well, that was that Saturday Night Fever soundtrack was mostly the Bee Gees. Oh
Mhm.
man, and
Okay,
yeah,
get a disco
just
ball and go.
absolutely, man. We could, yeah, the '80s music was just you had a
Right.
lot to choose from.
A lot.
Somebody, Greer said the Eurythmics, "Sweet dreams are made of these." Who am I to
Mhm.
disagree?
Oh yeah, that used to be the jam.
Yeah, it was so much in the '80s that we could draw from. Like you said, whether it was rock, whether it was rap, whether it was pop. Shoot, some of the metal bands was pretty good too.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, loved it all. We can go on and on about the 80s, but we got a few more headlines to get through. Starting off, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution has announced it will stop publishing print paper at the end of the year. Now, the publication says the time is right to pour all of its resources into its online operations and gets its journalism right, and get it in front of more people than just in Atlanta. And so popular and more institutional, 150 years that paper has been around. And so now it is no longer saying no more print at the end of the year. We're totally online.
Well, it's not shocking. It is sad, but not shocking. And publishers, this. I just think our newspaper publishers have been behind the times for so long. This is why we're why we're in the situation we're in, because they just haven't kept up with the time. They allowed the internet to take over. They allowed things. They was giving away stuff for free for a long time, and once you give it away for free, you can't start charging. And they just missed the boat. Newspaper publishers used to be ahead of the game, a half century or so ago, but they failed miserably once the mid to late '90s started rolling around in the 2000s with the World Wide Web. They missed the boat, and I tell you what, if you're not sitting down, if you're a newspaper or a newspaper organization, if you're not strategizing, if you haven't really been strategizing, and not let's just talk about it, strategize, put something in place, it's a death warrant.
Yeah, you have to be able to. We're living in a time of the pivot, right? Back in the day, you could have a 9-to-5 job, 20, 30 years, 401k, retirement, Social Security, but we're living in the era of pivot. And you have to know how to adjust to what's happening with technology, just what's happening with everything around us. And I mean, I think you're right. And I think, it's going to be critically important for, Black newspapers in particular to, fast forward their pivot. Because we have to keep up, and we're living in a time. I've never I've worked in news a long time, and very rarely do I get a story wrong. But in this new time of information, I mean, you have to fact check, because AI is not always accurate. And then you have different variations of the stories, and then it comes out, and then people don't wait to let the story develop. They want to be the first to print it. And so then you have all these reversions of the story. I mean, that happened a lot with the Diddy trial. You know what I mean? It just that you know, it's just so did you get it right, or was it right 3 hours ago? You know what I'm saying? And so you just, as a journalist, it's really tough to navigate through this time that we live in of misinformation, number one, and then with fake news being, you know, considered accurate, and then you have all of these like blogs who are not necessarily interested in getting it right. They just want to sensationalize it. And so it's tough out here for a journalist these days.
Something else came to mind. The Mike B said newspaper organizations relied on the silent generation and the boomers as their audience. Now millennials and Gen X get their news from digital sources that move at the speed of light. And of course, the big problem with that is, you know, print ads are almost non-existent. It's the digital space that advertisers look to, and stuff like this. I mean, no, we don't have a sponsor, but they look for stuff like this. You have to have stuff like this, and if you're not showing the importance of things like Let It Be Known and shows like this, then you, as a news organization, you're failing miserably. You are asking to be killed off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to have a very strong social presence too. You know, podcasts are very important to extending your media brand, but also too, just, you know, social media, having a presence. I mean, and starting, you know, local. You know, building your audience from, you know, what you're known for is local news, and then like expanding that. Like there's so many conversations, you know, we could have, but I think that newspapers are, you know, the ones that struggle the most. And as we can see here, it's not just about a white paper or a black paper, it's just the community of print is suffering.
Yeah, absolutely.
So moving on, a January 6th rioter, Ashley Babbitt, who was shot during her participation in the MAGA Capitol takeover, will be honored by the Air Force, y'all. Now, her honor will include playing of taps and the folding and presentation of the American flag and honor guard. And so now they have decided to honor a Capitol rioter. You know, rest in peace, but once again, she was a rioter.
Yep, exactly. And you know, this is this is the new version of America. It's as simple as that.
Man, and so some election news that we all should be concerned about. Trump has appointed conspiracy theorist Heather Honey, who tried to overturn the 2020 election, in charge of overseeing U.S. elections, y'all. Okay. Now, Heather played a key role in helping find over 11,000 votes in Georgia to try to steal the election from Joe Biden. So this is the woman that now will be over the 2026 midterms and general election. So if you think that Donald Trump is not stealing the elections right now, you're going to be in a rude awakening when you think you're going to go to the ballot box next year. I mean, all eyes should be right now.
Yeah. Well, again, this is another layer of security that he's making sure to have in place so that he doesn't leave office. You know, we played the Gavin Newsom clip this week. He has no intention. Trump has no intentions of leaving office and giving up any of his power. And not just him leaving office, but to have any fair election statewide, certainly congressional elections as the midterms come next month. So you got the National Guard situation, you got this situation with this election denier trying to steal the election. Now she's in charge of elections.
I mean, she's in charge of elections. I mean, and that's what this whole redistricting play is about. It is to pack Congress with Republicans so that when it's time to change the law and the Constitution, he has the numbers overwhelmingly. And so it's critical that we pay attention to what's happening in Texas. It's critical we pay attention to what's happening in California and all the states to follow when we talk about this redistricting conversation, because it's going to start at the midterms. He's not waiting until, the next presidential election to say, hey, I'm not leaving. No, he's doing it right now. And he's stacking his deck. Okay.
Yeah. This is a guy, like I said, he plans on going nowhere. He will have to be carried out of there in a box. He is going to live there for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
if he can help it.
Right. And going back, the chat is on fire about that young woman getting a military honor by the Air Force. Dr. Joni is unbelievable, all caps. Orange G, this is so disrespectful to the men and women who served in the U.S. military. Dr. Joni says it just gets worse and worse with these pics. Utterly disgusting. And Dr. Marilyn says nothing surprises me. Nothing with this ad, man. Yeah. But it's important for us to know that, we have to start paying attention now, folks, to what's happening, because he is stacking it. He's about to run in Boston. Okay.
But the thing about it is, in addition to what you're saying about what you have to do, again, I use the word again, strategizing, which should have been going on for at least a year now. It should have been going on, and right now, the way, Niele, you're gonna have to talk me off this ledge, but I think it's every person for themselves at this point in time, as far as Black folks are concerned.
What do you mean by that, though? Every person for themselves?
Because I just don't see anybody. I just don't see. We talked about the 50-51. You talked about Jasmine and Newsom. I just don't see enough to overcome this, and I think that nobody's coming to save people. And I just think that you got folks giving up, and they're giving up in a way in which they're abdicating what their normal responsibilities were supposed to be. Like even Mayor Bowser. I mentioned Mayor Bowser. That she waved the white flag back in apparently back in January. So to me, I think we are on an island by ourselves. And
who you mean we Black people?
We as Black people.
Okay.
And the sooner those who have Black people who have power, Black people who have wealth, if they start to show that they care about Black people as a whole and come together and start saying, this is what we need to do, and this is what we can do. You mentioned about
I think
our own cities.
Yeah, but I think that's happening with figuring out how we come together in mobilizing Black people. I totally think that is happening. You have the State of the People who are going to communities that's not getting any headlines, but that are making impact in local communities. You have Black Voters Matter, who is still on the front line. They're not getting any headlines, but they're still in communities. They're still registering voters. They're on HBCU campuses. And so, the work is happening. And what do they say sometimes? The revolution is not going to be televised. The boots on the ground, it's happening. It might not be happening to where we see it, but definitely, I'm getting the emails. I'm getting the invites to the but you have to be willing to participate to be involved, right? And if you participate, then you know what's happening. And so I just push back a little bit because it is happening. It's just not being televised.
I hope you're right.
No, those are facts.
Okay.
Those are facts. A State of the People, what they're doing is a fact. What Black Voters Matter is doing is a fact. The NAACP, they are going on a town hall. That's a fact. Now, is it penetrating the the hard heads? Is it I don't know.
The hard head.
But it's definitely happening.
Okay. Well,
Um,
Niele says it's happening.
well, no, I mean, I didn't say it's happening. I mean, it's a fact. You can go to their website;
Right.
they'll tell you what they're doing. You know, I applaud Angela Rye and State of the People, because like that's not really a funded, so to say, campaign or mission. But they're on the front lines. They're going out and they're partnering with grassroots organizations in Black communities to talk to those people. Of course, mainstream media is not going to talk about it. It's
Right.
not sexy enough, and so it's up to us.
Well, they don't care either.
Yeah, but it's up to us to be able to know these things and to amplify, to say when I don't think it is happening. They are out there on the front line. And hopefully we continue to fund them. Organizations like Black Lives Matter, they're out there. They were a headline in 2020. They're not anymore, but it didn't mean and doesn't mean that the work stops.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had your girl on. We know what she's doing out there, and what they're doing. So they're not stopping. So we do know that for sure.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's tons of organizations out there that are doing the work. And so, as long as I have an opportunity, I will continue to uplift them, because that's what we need to know, is who's doing what. And it is happening. So we will continue to keep you updated on what these grassroots organizations are doing and how they're all trying to save democracy. And everybody's not going to get the Jasmine Crockett, Gavin Newsom headlines, but they're the ones that's sustaining the work to keep them able to talk about it. But on a lighter note, the world-renowned Florida A&M University Marching 100 traveled to New York for a historic performance at the U.S. Open. That's right, y'all. The marching band joined in to proudly celebrate the legacy of one of its most accomplished alumni. I'm talking about Althea Gibson. Now, the U.S. Open honored the groundbreaking tennis champion whose courage and achievements transformed the sport. Gibson attended FAMU on a tennis scholarship and became the first Black athlete to compete at the U.S. Nationals, now known as the U.S. Open, and that was in the 1950s. So that was a great way to celebrate her with the 100 marching band from FAMU, and to learn that Black history fact, because who knew? I didn't know she went to FAMU.
I didn't either. Nicely done.
Right. So Labor Day, it's the weekend, baby, and lots of things to look out for over the Labor Day weekend. And then one that you brought up is Funk Master Flex. He's saying bye to radio, and he made the announcement yesterday that Labor Day will be his last show on Hot 97. He posted an end of an era that I enjoyed very much. Now, Funk Master Flex represented hip hop at Hot 97 for over 30 years. But I have a few friends over at iHeart, and there's some conversation about don't get too excited or sad about the retirement, because he might just be moving to another day part, or he might be moving to another radio station. But nevertheless, that time slot on Hot 97 has been his position as a curator, as an influencer, and as an agitator of hip hop culture. And so either way, during that time slot, he will be sorely missed.
Yeah, how about that? 30 years. That is amazing. 30 years. So congratulations either way. Even if he's stepping down, if he's retiring, or if he's moving on. Good for Funk Master Flex. 30 years. How many people could say that?
Right. He broke a lot of records during that time slot too. And when somebody wanted to get the word out about their project, or if it was the hottest story on the streets, Funk Master Flex was either breaking it or making somebody mad about his critique of something. And so yeah, I'm pretty sure New York is gonna be ablaze come Monday, and I'm sure he's gonna have a lot of surprises during that time slot and hour because everybody is gonna want to give that man. Well, now I won't say everybody, but
There's always some haters.
will want to give him his flowers, which he so deserves.
And yeah, I agree 100% with Dr. Joni for radio. Wow, that's so impressive, she said. Yep.
Truly a voice of hip hop culture. And then also this weekend, Kai Cenat, our favorite nephew streamer, has announced this week that Mafiathon 3, the final chapter, starts Labor Day. That's on Monday. Okay. So he's doing another 30-day, 24/7 stream. And he said this will be the last Mafiathon. And to help him make the big announcement, he brought out Michael B. Jordan. So he brought out all the stops. He did this whole thing. And Michael B. Jordan was like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? How can you top what you did? He says he's going for 1 million subscribers. Now we need to go over there. Can we get like 1,000 of your subscribers? We just get 1,000 of them. But yeah, he's going for 1,000 subscribers. And I don't know if you watched his Thanksgiving 30-day stream when he rented the mansion out here in LA. But when I tell you that was the joy of that time, it was just amazing. And so you never know who's going to show up. LeBron, he had Chris Brown. He had LeBron's son. He had Kevin Hart, Drewski. So I'm pretty sure he's going to have to pull out all the stops. And one of the things that Michael B. Jordan suggests he does to get his 1 million subscribers is cut his locks.
So what does these streamers do? What does he do exactly? What's his show or what stream or what is it?
So basically he goes live for 24 hours. It's just like, he might make a carnival. They might do challenges, dance challenges. They might do motivational speeches. And then he has all of these celebrities pop up through all times of night. Like last time at night when they would sleep, to keep it up, he had his friends like play the drums, and every time he would get like maybe 50 subscribers, the drummer would drum and wake everybody up. It's just kids being kids. And that's what I think for me, I love to watch the nephews because they're just it's entertainment. It's like 24-hour television show. It's like Benny Hinn meets Benny Hinn meets Dennis the Menace. Meets Benny Hinn meets Dennis the Menace meets meets hip hop culture.
Oh, okay.
So remember Dennis the Menace, he was a menace, just mischief. Imagine that. Benny Hinn, all those, stupid little pranks and stuff. And sometimes it was provocative, and so, Kai is in the shower, you go with him to take a shower. And one of the things that happened, Ray J said that he wanted to take a shower, and everybody was like, huh? So now one of the things in the marathon is Ray J is gonna come and they're gonna all take a shower. Benny Hinn.
All right.
So Dr. Joni, it actually will be on Twitch. Which is huge as a content creator for him to put Twitch on the map like that, because when that happened last time, I ended up downloading Twitch on my TV just so that I could tune in whenever I wanted to. So you could watch it on Twitch. You can also follow Kai Cenat on all social platforms, and you'll get a lot of clips there too, especially on TikTok. Right. So that's your headlines for today, and what you should be doing on Monday, Labor Day, watching Kai Cenat and listening to Funk Master Flex.
Dr. James says, I just know so little about Twitch.
I don't know nothing about it either. I just downloaded it and typed in his name in the search, and there it was. Oh, okay. And I haven't watched it since the Mafiathon. So they're gonna get my attention starting next week.
Well, some Black History facts on this Friday. On this date In 1957, Congress passed the first Civil Rights Act in more than 80 years, signed into law by President Dwight Eisenhower on September the 9th. The law allowed federal prosecution of those denying voting rights. It created the Civil Rights Division in the Justice Department and established a federal commission on civil rights. Most Southern Democrats grudgingly accepted the bill, except for Senator Strom Thurmond of South Carolina, who staged a record-breaking 24-hour filibuster against it. Black leaders were split. Nobel Peace Prize winner Ralph Bunche called it a sham, while Bayard Rustin, the founder of the Congress on Racial Equality, saw it as an important first step toward stronger civil rights legislation. And of course, they are looking to totally gut all civil rights and voting rights acts now. So
yeah, it's an important day to remember. Iconic pictures coming out of that was the 1957, not 1964.
Yeah, 1957. Yeah,
first round. Yeah. Very important, but also too, I think that's another example of how it shows you how democracy works. 1957, and Black folks still had to push. Fast forward 1964, 65. I mean, 1964, it was just civil rights. We couldn't even get voting into it. Lyndon B. Johnson said that they not ready for that. We can't do it all at one time. So then they had to come back and add voting rights. And so that just shows us, it's a journey. It's not a destination. Democracy is fought. It's never won. And on that note, last Black History fact today, we're celebrating and remembering the one and only Michael Jackson, who was born in Gary, Indiana on this date in 1958. And of course, Michael Jackson is considered one of the most significant figures in the 20th century, and Guinness World Records named him the most successful entertainer of all times. Forever, ever, ever, Michael Jackson. When you were talking about Prince's movie coming out, I'm like, they still competing. In heaven, they competing. In heaven, they competing. Okay, he coming out with his movie. Michael Jackson, not on my birthday. Oh yes, I am on your birthday.
Well, today and tomorrow over the weekend at the city of Gary is hosting a huge celebration of Michael Jackson. Chris Tucker is going to headline it. Chris was really good friends with Michael and some of the Jackson brothers. Jackie Marlin will also be there in Gary, and it's going to be a weekend long thing. In fact, if you look at our many of our newspapers in BlackPressUSA.com, this week we did some stories about what to expect this week in Gary and across the world when it comes to Michael Jackson. So think about it. It's been 16 years now. He would have been 66 years old. Goodness grief. Wow. Could you imagine Michael at 66, 70, 75?
I wish he was still here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Will he still be dancing and singing?
Of course. Maybe not. I mean, he wouldn't be moving as fast, of course, but I mean, shoot, look at Diana. Diana is out here doing. I just what was it? Wednesday night, I went to go see Charlie Wilson, Babyface, and Casey. Amazing show. Babyface said he's 67. And he was out there two-stepping, turning around, singing all the hits. And we know Charlie Wilson could probably be his daddy or older uncle. And Charlie Wilson was out there, keep running. Okay, he was running. He was running. So, yeah, Michael Jackson would be there as well doing the same thing.
I think so. Remember, before he unfortunately died, he was going to do what he said was going to be his final concerts, the This Is It concerts. I think he really, really did not want to perform anymore. And so I'm not sure if he'd still be. And look, he certainly had the money, right? To say, I don't have to do this anymore.
I think once an entertainer, though, always an entertainer. And
That's
entertainers
true, yeah.
retire all the time. This is my last one. So, I mean, you never know. They always say that. But you never know.
He got to a point where he despised. Well, I won't say despise. He just didn't like. He didn't like touring anymore. And
well, maybe he would have did a residency in
but
Vegas.
maybe he would have did another residency, right? Exactly, because
Vegas.
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
and you never know when people need to keep up their lifestyle.
Oh, without question, because again, unfortunately for him, at that point in his life, he was before he died, he was struggling financially in a major way. Now, shoot, his kids will never know what struggle is with the type of money that estate has made for his heirs. So one of his sons just announced that it's interesting because his oldest son, Prince Michael, just announced that he's engaged, and his daughter Paris Jackson just it was just announced that her engagement broke off. So, oh gosh.
Happy birthday we'll celebrate Michael Jackson today. You know, I'm going to celebrate him by listening to Off the Wall. I'm going to celebrate me some Michael Jackson. And celebrate Prince. You go see Prince this weekend, So it's a lot to do. It's a lot to do. But nevertheless, celebrate the culture with fun. And then what's our Black paper for the day?
It's the Portland Observer. The Portland Observer is the oldest continuously African-American owned publication in the state of Oregon. Its website, portlandobserver.com, and its weekly newspaper are committed to cultural diversity. The focus is to bring stories focusing on education, health, politics, and law and justice to its readers. So it's the Observer in Portland, Oregon. So check them out, folks.
Nice. And for the latest in Black news, you want to keep up with what's happening over the weekend, head over to BlackPressUSA.com. Happy Labor Day.
Have a safe one, y'all, and we will see you next week.